It is my pleasure to welcome to the show Diane Collins. She is the founder of the Quantum Think System of Thinking. Diane is the author of the award-winning bestseller, Do You Quantum Think? She is the world's leading authority in the New World view of thinking. With all that being said, there is lots to discuss this morning. Diane, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show. I am so intrigued by this whole system of quantum thinking. Obviously, we can't cover all of it this morning, but could you just summarize it a little bit for our viewers?
Absolutely, Jenna, and I'm delighted to be here. Quantum thinking is a way of getting a new perspective on the framework from which we think that makes you more effective in life today, because we're in a completely different landscape. We all know the world is changing at a dizzying pace, and we need to be able to think in sync with the 24/7 world that is accelerating pace of change, increasing complexity and choice. And every day, because our institutions are, social institutions are undergoing really in the public eye, well, what do we need to assess now to make it better for our future? And so when you look at that, quantum thinking is actually about how do we think in a way that's beyond time? How do we think so that we can be more effective in today's world?
Well, and it's so true. New times definitely require new thinking,
Yes,
which is what
absolutely.
Quantum thinking is all about.
People don't realize that we think according to the worldview, and that sounds like a big esoteric term, but it really means what we believe to be true about the nature of things and how they work and what we're capable of and what not. And the big shift in science from the 17th century to the 20th century which went from the industrial age to the quantum age. The big shift was that we realize now the importance of mind. And mind is a creative substance. But of course, when we're in school, we learn to stimulate the mind. We learn to gain information, but we really never know how to work with our own mind. And when you look at it, you realize what you hold in mind, in your awareness, moment to moment, gives you your experience of life. So, as I like to say, young or old, rich or poor, we all have to deal with our own mind. And the mind, what you habitually hold in your thoughts, can either give you a great experience, a calming experience, peace of mind that we all seek, or it can take you on a wild goose chase. And so I think everybody listening and watching knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Your mind can either be your worst enemy or it can be your best friend. Diane, how can we make our mind our friend?
Well, the best way is, and the easiest way, is to have a new relationship with your thoughts, Jenna. And this is what I mean by that. People think you can control your thoughts. Well, you can't really control them because they get there before you do, so to speak. By the time you're aware of what you're thinking and how that thought and the meaning you're giving your thought is giving rise to your experience and actually shapes your actions and results, well, by the time your thought shows up, it's too late to change it. So what do? You create a new relationship with it. Now, if you realize, how do we do that? A lot of thoughts are just coming in, and we're not used to thinking about it this way, but we're actually in a field, a mind field, an intelligent field. This is the new scientific outlook. And we're accustomed to looking only with our ordinary five senses about what's real, right? We look in the physical and we look in the circumstances, but actually we're receiving data all the time. And this is very simply illustrated. If you walk into a room and there's a group of happy people in one corner and a group of disgruntled, complaining people in another, before you even hear them say a word, you feel it. So when you think, well, how do we feel that? That's not a direct cause and effect linkage, that's something that we pick up as human beings, as ordinary people. We're like huge sensing devices, and we're very intelligent this way. So some of what comes in, I call it from the thoughtosphere, right? There's a biosphere around the earth, around the body. There's a thoughtosphere that we're picking up thoughts that if we were at actual true choice, we wouldn't choose. You wouldn't choose to have a disparaging thought about yourself or another person, or a thought about the world situation that would in some way make you feel less than happy. I mean, we all want to feel good. This is pretty obvious. So how you create a new relationship with your thought is you make a distinction between a thought that you originate, that initiates from you consciously, with awareness that you're actually choosing that thought. Make a distinction between that and a thought that we say in our Quantum Think business just visits from the surrounding field. Because just because you have a thought doesn't make it the truth. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to identify with it in any way. And this is what we never learned in school, how the faculties of mind actually work. That the most creative dynamic of mind that we have been born with by virtue of just being human is the power of our own intent. Intent is the directed action of our awareness, which shapes the way we relate to everything in life. So I say it very simply for young minds, as I like to say. I used to say for the kids, but let's say for young minds.
I like that.
Old worldview, which is the industrial age worldview, that taught us to think in a linear, look in the circumstances to figure out what's happening in your life. Old worldview, circumstance rules. New worldview, quantum worldview, intent rules. Is that making sense?
It's absolutely making sense, and it is fascinating, Diane. I think we could talk for many shows on this subject, but unfortunately I only get you for today, so you'll have to come back. And I mentioned earlier, Diane, that you released a book, Do You Quantum Think? So people can pick up a copy of that book and get some more tips on quantum thinking.
Yes, they can. Do You Quantum Think? New thinking that will rock your world, which I'm happy to say has received 6 awards, and it is a bestseller in many categories. So people are really writing to me all the time, Jenna, and saying it just makes them feel better to read Do You Quantum Think. So I appreciate so much being here and being able to share this and reminding everyone, make your mind your friend.
It will make your days and your life much better, won't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.